Stop it! Stop trying to book shows. No.
So, yeah, the music industry at various times, it's a lot of the quote unquote Wild West, where it's just like people are just making their shit up as we're going here.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden something's selling hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Exactly, and that's where
I'm a fucking guitar player and I know how transistors, but I don't know. I mean, I'm supposed to get money in from this thing, from this distributor, and that.
Yeah,
you know.
But at the so that's where kind of Greg sort of learns trial by fire is right. So imagine though if all of a sudden your band had a record deal, loses the record deal, but you're as popular as Black Flag. Right, you've built this underground thing. Like literally, Black Flag never gets enough credit for like essentially inventing created the punk rock tour. Right, what still is on where it's like you can't take a night off. You take whatever dollar you can. You play pizza joints if you can't. You play literally the whole touring route that REM ended up taking to superstardom was playing. Where did Black Flag play like the week before? Right. You know,
right. Yeah,
you know,
41.
Like you would get up. There was the guy. I think it was. I don't want to give the guy from Maximum Rock and Roll too much credit, but someone put out, and I want to say there was him or something. There's a like a fanzine that was called Book Your Fucking Life, and it was literally every dude that would put on a show in like every town. And you would get on the phone and you would call and you would just beg your way around, and that was. I mean, Black Flag. I mean, you've read the Get in the Van. I mean, that's really friggin' true. It's like they were just disgusting human beings that don't shower for a long time just because they couldn't, sleeping on floors, just dragging it around and just bringing this music.
But like no MapQuest, none of that stuff. And I love that they just get into town and they were just like. Where do all the freaks and fags hang out? They were like downtown.
But did Black Flag ever
just find the club because you would just like go to the outlaw section?
No. Did Black Flag ever hit a point where like, we're playing Maxwell's or the 930 Club where there's 250 people in the U.S., but over in Europe they're playing to 10,000 or 30,000 people?
No, I don't think so. But I think they would play the Palladium in L.A. Like that, they would start. Like in LA, they started getting banned, like legitimately banned. Like that's the thing. It's like,
sure.
So Black Flag ends up. They're playing some pretty big shows, but I think they.
You were saying that they got banned. Is that what
they couldn't get a show like in LA. They couldn't. They literally the cops would beat the shit out of their audience. Like there was they hid out for a while. Like they would go on tour and come back, and the SST offices would be padlocked. Like, and someone would have to sneak in, and like they were given a very hard time by the LA police.
Yeah, they were on the watch list as was like dead Kennedys, I would imagine, right? With the whole thing with FBI.
Yeah.
We're gonna shut you guys down.
I think
you're a menace.
I think the difference between LA and Walnut Creek.
Yeah. I think that. I mean, the dead Kennedys, I think, were always like Black Flag. I don't want to say they courted it, but Rollins like beefed up and wasn't afraid to like fucking punch somebody in the face.
According to the book, or to much to Greg Ginn's chagrin, right, Henry wasn't suffering the fools after a certain point.
I mean, it wasn't like he was provoked for sure. Like it was like we're gonna get the singer, but.
Right, and at some point, I saw a show over here at the show place in Dover. They had the guy that was on stage that was just kind of protecting him or watching him, but he was really just pushing away. And they got against the idea of like the crowd getting too violent or too jumping on stage, and I had the pleasure of if you think I looked like I was 12 when I was going to these shows. They allowed me to sit off to the right of the stage, and I got a total bird's eye view.
So awesome.
That would happen to me all the time.
They're just
they totally did. They thought like I was like a 12-year-old kid there, and they let me. And of course, my friend would follow me, and we would just be right off to the side of the stage. Cool. And that guy was getting. That guy was there constantly. His job was just to push people back off the stage. during their shows, and kind of tamp down the violence. Yeah.
Well, but it's funny. I am a firm believer of for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. So if there's someone in the front pushing back, that's just going to create
right, and that's what it was. That provoked those guys even more. And you remember at clubs too, it started getting to the point where like no moshing. The signs were up, and I'm sure there was all litigations, the injuries and stuff like that.
Because just like anything else, that became the sport. Like it was
right, and that's
go and beat some shit.
Right, and that
got to be a real drag. Like, let's face it, like it really did. And I remember Todd mocking Ian McKay when Fugazi came through, and like kind of stop the violence kind of thing, and but at the same time, like it was a drag to the point where you just go to, if you saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers in the clubs and stuff like that, the people were moshing to that, and you're like, really? Like it was, and it just seemed already fake by that time.
It had jumped the shark.
This is totally fake. Like you're just doing it like at a Red Hot Chili Pepper show. Come on.
Well, that is not so surprising to me. As I'm trying to think of a better example, but I know what you mean. Like at a Pixie show, people are starting.
Right? Is it like it seems fake?
It totally jumped the shark. Right.
Yeah. It became like it's the twist.
And the jocks, jocks got into
that. Was the thing, right?
Yeah.
But that was also like, well, I mean, that's one of the many sins of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Although they couldn't help it, but they were going to attract. Like if you saw them in the clubs, and the fact that they played so many times with Fishbone. And boy, there's a band that would blow away the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
They were amazing.
They were fabulous. But there's a band right there for you.
They had a horn player, right?
You can file them in the whole, like, never put out a great record. You know what I mean? Like, they were so great. They were so great.
You mean never?
With that first record, even, it wasn't great.
They were a great live band, though. I mean, total energy.
Very intense. Yeah.
The Chili Peppers, Fishbone, and Thelonious Monster all shared the same manager at one point. A guy by the name of Lindy Getz, and that's like he was their manager at the time. I was in LA, so they would do surprise shows, like they're like little shithole bars, and the bill would be the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Fishbone, Thelonious Monster, and they'd all play with.
Were you there when the Tar Babies put that record out, or was that SST?
Yeah, I did those records.
That's an underrated band right there. Yeah. Those guys are great.
Yeah, they were, and just for the record, they got their nickname because they were roofers in Milwaukee.
Thank you for clearing.
I would imagine, right? They'd get blowback on that now. The Tar Babies, sure. Right.
It's kind of like a Tar Heel, right? There's a legitimate name to it.
Kind of like that.
Or a Boilermaker, maybe would be another, right?
Sure.
Well, there's racial overtones to this one.
I'm going to stop it right there.
I think it was a derogatory term that the older, like, racist dudes would call the young roofing crew, who would have to slop the tar around on the roofs, and it was kind of, they sort of embraced it as fuck you, not as in. Mm-hmm. But I was there for the first album was out already, and I worked the second record. But so that's why I had like so many freaking good records to work. So I had the Screaming Trees. I had Soundgarden's first album. Yep.
I love that record.
That was kind of the end of my tenure. I was only there about not quite a year. So the first records I worked were Screaming Trees, Tar Babies. There was a Sonic Death live album. There was Huevos was still in action. You're Living All Over Me was still in action, but then I got to work on Bug. Mm-hmm. That was weird. I spent a day with Jay, and I think he said 2 words. Like, he just completely quiet. Jay Maskin.
Were his ears fried then too?
He just seemed stoned and dopey. Like, I didn't know if it was like he just wasn't. He just thought it was funny that there was someone who did press for him. You know what I mean? That's generally like a lot of those bands I was worked there. They just found it so silly that you call up papers to get people to write about us. That's just
he hooked Paul Fisher for his wah-wah pedal at a gig that the Selves opened up for Dinosaur.
Did he get it back?
He did. He did. But like, he also has the pleasure of like Jay Mascis who's wow.
Paul Fisher was responsible for Jay Mascis' sound.
One night only. I need your wah wah.
Yeah, because I gotta show you the way. I'm gonna do that Frampton cover, and I need that pedal. I want to.
I was there for that one too, and they put out the 12-inch of that one.
Yeah, that is
John,
great.
do you remember a compilation called The Wailing Ultimate? I think that's Homestead, though.
Yeah, that is Homestead.
But that's got Repulsion on it, doesn't it? And how did they end up on
the Dinosaur?
They were still Dinosaur then, too. By the way,
they were Dinosaur, and then the band from San Francisco of old
Paul Kantner band.
Yeah, like I would say the Quicksilver Messenger. Like it was sort of like a San Francisco Dinosaur greatest hits kind of super group. And they were called Dinosaur, and so they had to change the name to Dinosaur Jr. So that came out. Remember, Homestead is Gerard Kozloy, who, gets tired. Like he signs Sonic Youth, he signs Dinosaur. Can't remember who else was on that label off the top of my head, but right, he leaves. He's just working for that label. He leaves and starts Matador, right? But so he loses Sonic Youth to SST, and SST. Baby Band is Sonic Youth to SST, and Sonic Youth's Baby Band is Dinosaur, because they're up there in Amherst, Massachusetts now, and Jay's like hanging out, and so he ends up at SST. So that's why the
who puts out the Sonic Youth record that has Teenage Riot on it? Was that wasn't SST at that point, right?
That's another interesting story. So I get there,
and the producer.
I get there, and Sonic Youth is they're kind of cold. Like so Sister's been out for a little while. I get a cassette of this live only record they want to put out. There's a 12-inch called Master Dick, and the B-side is a cover of Beat on the Brat by the Ramones. And there's just sort of these weird things that Thurston are sending over. And I hear they're working on a new album, and they're not on SST in Europe. In Europe, they're on Mute Records, and they end up. The guy from Mute is starting a label called Blast First Records, and Sonic Youth has started doing what they're calling live rehearsals at the old Knitting Factory on Houston Street. Mm-hmm. So this is like October of '88. They're having royalty issues with SST. And they want a they call me up and they say that we want a copy of all of our videos. We want master half-inches of all of our videos. So I literally bring them with me when I come back to New York. They put me on the guest list for the Knitting Factory, and I go back to say hello.
Wait, is Kim Gordon give me my fucking master, John? I'm going to reach down your throat and rip your fucking lungs out if you don't come back with those And no, none of the guys in Sonic Youth or Kim is not.
Thurston's the talker. Kim just was like, if she said so many words, I would have been happy. But it was just kind of like, oh, you're from SST. Like I was the devil.
You're a label guy. I can't.
Right? So I bring in the tapes. They're like, thanks, whatever. And then I easily the best. I'd seen them a bunch of times. I've seen them a bunch of times. But that show was so good. Like in that little Knitting Factory. And they're essentially playing Daydream Nation. So
the album,
yeah. Literally, they haven't recorded it yet.
Awesome.
They're very, and so, it's.
Is that like summer of '88? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, had to be summer of '88. Maybe. Yeah. I'm not sure if the record came out. Yeah, it was. I think it was before.
Yeah, I'm seeing here it came out in October of '88. So I'm thinking it's like summer.
That's when I finally left LA. In October, I came back to New York for CMJ, and then I moved to Minneapolis for a couple months. But so this had to be summer or a little earlier because they haven't recorded the record yet. Mm-hmm. And then so I give them and it was just weirdly I was like so excited to meet the guys in Sonic Youth I've been talking to on the phone, and they were just like, who the hell, right? So the show was great. It was fantastic. In that little wooden room that was the second floor. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, in the back.
It was awesome.
Right in the very back.
That was a great spot.
Yeah.
It was I think it was, but then they moved to that bigger space downtown, and then now they're.
No, I only know the Knitting Factory is that place on Houston with the musty sweaters.
Like it was like above it was like
sewing.
Yeah, it was literally a sewing
sewing factory.
I want to say it was like there was like a Chinese restaurant or something for a little while, and then eventually they took it over as like a bar and a waiting room or something. But and next door there was an Italian restaurant that's still there. But so I just